cookie too.
You know, do you think that the layers that we see in Janiyah and Straw, in her having to learn to be like, actually admit that she's not okay and I just covered things up, and you talk about your personal life not being the life of the party anymore, being okay with that, do you think that that's something that after watching this movie people can take on easily? Or like, what do you think people's journey to get to that point will be after watching this movie?
Everybody's journey is different. Some people find it hard to, very difficult to deal with trauma because it's not easy going through therapy. You gotta deal with the ugly shit first before you get. There is no way to get over a storm or under a storm. You gotta go through it before you can see the sun. But the sun always shines. But you have to go through it. And that therapy journey is not for the weak. And some people, unfortunately, spend a lifetime just dodging it. And it's unfortunate because your life can be so much better if you can just heal. Because you find yourself, almost like a gerbil in the wheel. If you're not, because the same shit that you think you running from, you're gonna, wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. And all your problems.
You can't run from yourself.
You cannot.
You're not drinking, or decision to not drink anymore?
I do have my wine.
Okay.
And I love my 7 daughters, but I do take breaks. For 5 months I had stopped drinking because I felt like I needed clarity. I needed to get rid of some negative energy that was in my life that I couldn't see. Because, and not to say that I have a drinking problem or anything like that, I just think like you fast sometimes because you need to reset your system. I did this sobriety for like 5 months, and then when I have to promote my wine, and I do really like my 7 daughters, but it's low in calories, and it doesn't get you like plastered. Like, what I mean? I can sip it by the pool and still function, But I do have moments where I fast from that as well, because I just think it's great for my mental, because I'm present.
I was going to ask what presence did it bring before you got in prepared for this role?
Oh my goodness, I was able to get up in the morning. And another thing I find when I don't drink is that I can work out. You know what I mean? Like, that's one vice that I pick up. And I go hard, but I'm sure you've seen some of my videos that I'm pouring into myself because I'm present. I'm not numbing out.
What's one quiet decision, Taraji, you made that had the biggest impact on your career but never made headlines?
Say that again?
What's one quiet decision you made that had the biggest impact on your career but never made headlines?
Quiet decision. It seems like everything I do makes because I thought me going to Bali was gonna be quiet, and we're still talking about it.
Ball on the 39. Here's second down and 8.
I think I talk about everything. I don't think. Because I feel like if you have a story to tell it. I try to keep my breakup quiet. That's a good one. I might have to call you back on that one.
Well, this is not even a question, but in watching Straw, I got John Q vibes.
Yeah. Well, the difference with John Q is that he was very conscious in what he was doing. He was trying to save his son, and he's like, I ain't got no money, the insurance is not paying, so I'm gonna stick y'all up.
But it was like
what you would do, what links you would go through. You're a kid.
Yeah.
It hits you in a new way, doesn't it, when you become a mother? And it's real, like, it's not about you anymore once you become a parent. You have this whole existence and being and human that you are responsible for. And if you are a responsible person, that's a very serious job for you. Like, before you were probably like, I'm a public figure. Now it's like, I'm a mom first. So it's different. Life is different when you have that kind of responsibility. And you'll do anything for your child, and the hurt that they feel, you feel it 10 times more because you feel like it's my job to protect this child. And so when they're bullied, you ready to go to war because it's like, no, how dare you? You know?
And Janiyah snapped, but she kept going. Didn't even realize.
She didn't know. She had no idea she was operating outside of herself.
You know, we know a lot of things you do are super intentional. Because like you said, you're a murderer. So what's the most strategic thing you've ever done that people mistook as emotional?
A loss of a yard there to start out. That
Probably talking about the pay inequity because I haven't cried about money. I tell you what, bitch. If you want to eat, you better speak the fuck up. Right. The squeaky wheel gets fixed, right? Closed mouths don't get fed, right? And I'm going to tell you who's not complaining about that money anymore.
No, that's true.
Because after that, Hollywood started coming correct.
Man, listen, they have to.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit my mouth again? I demanded that respect.
This is my last question. Are you happy?
I'm so happy. I can't explain. People go, you're glowing. Yes, because I am not dealing with nobody's unhealed child. I am at peace. The peace that I've been fighting for, I have it. And it has nothing to do with anybody. No other human. It's all in me.
I love you.
I love you.
Do you even tell the unhealed people anything anymore?
No, because sometimes they ain't ready to hear it.
I will say I hope you hear it. I do say that.
Because sometimes they take that as they're offended by what you mean. It's like, all right, babe. Right. You know, so this is for you to discover, sweet. Well, thank you.
Is out this Friday. Netflix. Definitely check it out.
And wait till you see what we do for you in this building. You see.
Is it a bust?
What does that mean?
Yes, it is.
A bust, like a sculpture.
Yes, it
is. Is it?
Yes.
Don't put no bad-ass wig on it like that.
What's up, Elroy?
Yes, it will be a bust.
Oh, okay. Yes. Where? In the center of this table?
Or in the hall.
In the hall?
Because people will see it whenever they walk by.
Okay.
So you have to go by AG Studio and come in.
Please, can it look like me? Don't like.
Yes, you'll see.
Okay. You seen Dwayne Wade's statue that don't.
No.
Please don't do that to me.
No, the one that Jada
Yeah, because that. Okay, never mind. And I thank you for your career. Not ended it yet. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you for you.
Yeah,
not just your career, you the person that you are, because your career has given you the platform to be out here being the mental health advocate that you are, and I think that work is going to outlaw.
Yeah, me neither, bro. I just been uploading a lot of my videos.
That to me feels like probably why guys say.
Yeah, I ain't been out here in a minute neither, bro. But I'm gonna start back streaming more.
Man, he still looks good doing it. Only a yard on the pickup, so
I'm glad you pulled up, though. I wonder if I lost some subscribers since I ain't been going live.
Just need 1 yard here to pick up the first down.
To get to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so grateful. Thank you so much, guys. This was beautiful.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Breakfast Club.
Wake that ass up. And he will have a first down as they get him to the ground.
Yeah, I saw it, man. It don't look that much different to me, to be honest with you. I saw they were saying the weather gonna play a bigger factor now in the gameplay, but when they showed the graphics, I'm like, man, I'm doing that on this Madden.
On 1st and 10, here's Pacheco.
Oh no, bro.
And this defense not ready for that one.
All these games be the same, man. They may add one little thing, but it ain't gonna be nothing significant to change the overall experience. And they just market it, with the commercials.
Halftime to make adjustments. They better find a way to get it done series to series. I don't know if they need to sub some guys out, bring in extra people, maybe change what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. But right now, they're running the ball very well right at them and right.
I should have got that touchdown.
And he's down inside the 5 at the 4 before he's out of bounds. The end result, 21 yards.
I know, we gotta let Derrick Henry get this.
Drive to get the season underway here.
And how long do you think that they actually have been plotting this drive? I'm talking about the coaching staff, right? They've been thinking about this for a while now, and I think they're executing it even better than what they expected.
Henry.
There we go.
Into the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City. So So that a great sequence for these guys.
Is it going to be like real NFL? I don't know. I doubt it because they basically were saying that, you know, when it's raining, for example, and that's another thing. They only show like rain. They ain't show like what it's like in the snow. But they were basically saying when it rains, it's going to impact how quarterbacks try to get in their stance to throw the ball. Like they going to slip and probably drop the ball trying to hike it. Things like that. But if they were going to really make it like the NFL, they should have incorporated last year's game between the Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, because it was so cold and it was so much snow they could barely plant their feet.
So time to see Jacksonville again on offense for the second time here in this game. They were forced to punt on their initial drive of the new season.
Because I know, like on here, man, it ain't really a heavy snow like game.
Here's Lawrence to throw. This one complete to Christian Kirk.
There's a lot of stuff they could be working on, man. Like they could add, like even when you play like indoors, if you watch the games in real life, when they run the ball on turf, you can see like that black stuff pick up. They don't even show that on the game. So I still think it's like more they can include. But I think people that play on the PC though, they able to do shit like that.
But right now, I think they were just trying to get some momentum built, get a first down, pick it up, and keep moving.
Now here's a throw that's complete and brought down, but not before reaching the 45-yard line. 10 yards there, good enough for a Jags first down.
Yeah, but they added that hurdle last year as a upgrade.
Straight ahead, Etienne, and he'll take this ahead for about 4. Second down coming up.
When you find that kind of yardage, you couldn't be more confident as a ball carrier. And guess what? You're going to go back and tell your offensive coordinator, I'd like to keep carrying it, thank you.
The throw over the middle, taken in.
I know I shouldn't have blitzed.
Touchdown, Jaguars. A great effort there. 50 yards. And the Jaguars are an extra point away from evening this one up. And sometimes those slants, they can be so tough to defend after the catch. It just happens so quickly.
And really, what gets set up there is how quickly everything happens. Ball's out of the hands of the passer in a hurry, and he just takes it and goes.
He went all the way into the end zone. Santos able to tack on the extra point, and we are tied at 7. 5 plays there on that drive, and it culminates in a Jags touchdown. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away. And he'll be tackled just shy of the 25.
Man, I doubt it, bro. I don't think it's going to be nothing no different than what I'm playing right now.
KC offense out of the huddle, ready for their next
but I hope it's very good, but I doubt it.
Finding the end zone on their opening drive of the season, and they'll get another shot here with a 1st and 10.
From the lineman to the guy running with it, that was a well-executed first down by the offense. With 2 shots left to get the first, you can get a little aggressive here on 2nd down if you want and try for some bigger yardage.
Pacheco gets it again on 2nd down. And he'll be brought down right around the 37. 7 yards there and a first down. Now they're making an effort to get the ground game going tonight. So far it's working.
I like what we're seeing from the offensive line. They seem to have the leverage going.
Oh, yeah, they've been said they're going to stop making games for the PS4. That's why I got to hurry up and get my 5. But I'm not even going to get the 5 because they're going to come out with the 6, I think, next year.
To get out here and take off.
They go play fake. Mahomes, he'll buy some time.
You should have got that.
And this is going to be incomplete.
They certainly did a nice job improvising there, extending the play, hoping someone would come open downfield, but they never did.
Here's 2nd and 10. They'll send a receiver in motion to the right. On second down, here's Mixon. And this winds up a pickup of 2, maybe 2.5 to about the 39. Pretty good little two-play sequence there. You force the incompletion, then a very short pickup.
Yeah, now maybe you bring in an extra defensive back or two because you want to try and defend on third down. They like to play those nickel or sub packages, don't they?
3rd and 8.
Oh, yeah. So you should get it, man.
Mahomes going to throw. Forced out to his left. And
good job, Pat.
Picking up the first as he slides and hits the deck. That gain of 9 buys them a new set of downs.
Certainly not a positive sign if you're the D coordinator and you see your guys give up that space so early in the game. Third down, that's when the clamps are supposed to come out. But his ability to create things with his legs makes things difficult.
A couple of first downs on the drive already, as they'll go from the 47 now on first down. This is Mixon on the draw. And
PS5 got a lot of good games, though, man.
He'll get a couple
outside of, you know, Madden or whatever.
You know that he is tough in run support, and I think the way that he gets there is he understands what an offense is going to do before the ball's even snapped. A great job of scouting prior to the game, then reading, reacting, and taking the right path to the ball carrier.
Back to Mixon on second down. It'll be a gain of 5, but still about 3 yards shy of the first down marker, and now it's third down.
That's a really nice job by them picking up the run blitz and detecting it and blocking it and turning it into a nice run. And a lot of times you think if you blitz a running play, you're going to smother it. But a lot of the blitzers, they come in a little bit high. They don't have great leverage, and they're easily blocked and turned to the side.
And he will have a Chiefs first down, and he was able to get it by play. A gain of 8 on 3rd and 3.
Well, they came into this game saying it was important that they set the tone and show that they can run the football. And I believe that they've done that here in the first quarter.
They fake the give. Now Mahomes sliding out of the pocket. That one caught by Rice.
Good job.
Taken down, but there's a penalty flag in the backfield.
Roughing the pass.
Is this a hold, or did they rough the quarterback?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so roughing the passer, I've got to imagine that's the last thing you want to see week 1 is your quarterback taking an unnecessary hit.
I think you're exactly right about that. You hate it any week, but boy, are you on top.
And he will take it on in for a Chiefs touchdown. Derrick Henry, already his 2nd touchdown here in this opening weekend. And the Chiefs have taken the lead. So 2 drives, 2 touchdowns here in this first quarter, and he's got both of them.
He's certainly setting himself up for a big game here, and I think if the play caller doesn't get in his own way, they should keep riding him the entire way of this game. Until the defense proves they can stop him, that's what I would call.
Extra point by Butker is on target. And that makes the score 14-7. So that drive consumes 9 plays all told. And Derrick Henry able to finish it off with a touchdown run. Now after the touchdown, here's Butker on to kick it away. The Jaguars offense now heads back onto the field. A lot of time for this unit to game plan on the sideline after that drive that they watched the other side just score. But remember, last time they were out, they scored as well. We'll see if they can seize that momentum right back.
And they have had a lot of time to cool off from reaching the end zone the last time. So have they been able to keep themselves mentally sharp and into this game, even though they haven't been on the field? And you and I both know, one big play, though, gets them right back up to that level.
And he's able to take this one up to the 35-yard line. 9 yards, and that leaves him just short. So it'll be 3rd and less than a yard. Lawrence will throw. Tried to fit it in on the slant, and it's intercepted. It's Brian Branch with it. And the Chiefs are going to get possession of the football as time will run out on this first quarter of play. Through one quarter, 14-7 our score. From down at the 12, it's 1st and 10. Pacheco gets it up the gut. Down to the 6-yard line on a pickup of 6 as he gets halfway to the goal line.
Offensive linemen love creating space for their guys carrying the ball, but when that guy also breaks tackles and creates extra yardage, they almost feel like he's one of them, and they really embrace him.
Pacheco gets it again on 2nd down. He gets him a little bit closer. He takes it from the 6 inside the 5 to the 4. Well done to sniff that out defensively. He had it diagnosed pretty quickly.
I love that description because diagnosed is
all down territory
read
regardless.
his keys, made the play, and he couldn't even get going moving the football.
On 3rd down, Henry. Henry fighting for the marker, but I don't think he got there. He did not. Calling no gain there, and it leads to a 4th down.
I apologize in advance, partner, but the beefeaters on the interior of this D-line, you just know they were licking their chops on 3rd and short. And yes, they were rewarded with a tasty dish, stuffing that one short of a 1st down.
Well, we got beefeaters licking their chops and tasty dish in one fell swoop.
I did apologize in advance, didn't I?
Well, you did. That line's not eating tofu. I'll tell you that much for free. So the decision to go for it turns out to be a good one. They get a couple of yards, and as a result, the drive keeps moving. It's now 1st and goal. They'll try and run for it with Henry. And he takes this into the end zone for a Chiefs touchdown. Derrick Henry on his way to a monster game. 3 first-half touchdowns. And the Chiefs go up by 2 touchdowns. So what a first half that he has had running the football. That now 3 touchdown runs.
And I would anticipate that when they get down in the red zone, he's going to get more chances as this game goes on. And I think that the guys blocking...
And then they can do with this run game, bro.
More chances. They like the rhythm they've developed.
Now after the touchdown, here's Butker on to kick it away. From a couple yards deep, he'll bring it up. Now a hit and a loose football.
Get the ball, get the ball.
Oh, one of the linebackers has got it.
There we go.
They're going to take over right there at the 22-yard line. So problems compounding themselves here on the return. They just give up the touchdown, and now they lose the football.
Yeah, partner, things are starting to unravel a little bit for them right in front of our eyes. They're going to be looking for some answers, and quickly.
Mixon with a first down carry, and he can only manage to get a couple. 2nd and 8 coming up. When we talk about defenders, specifically linebackers, keeping their eyes in the right spot. He had that eye down the entire time.
And you know that's not easily done because they throw a lot of misdirection at you. They try and fool you and get your eyes in the wrong place. But you're right about that one. He correctly figured that one out and made a really nice play.
And the Chiefs are going to be set up with a 1st and goal here as the tackle made at the 9. And a good quarterback facing zone coverage. If he has just a little bit of time to survey the scene, that's what's going to happen.
No doubt about it. If there's no pressure, he's going to continue to pick them apart because he'll have all that time to find someone open downfield. You can only cover for so long.
And he will take it on in for a Chiefs touchdown. Joe Mixon with career touchdown number 125, moving him into a tie with Walter Payton on the all-time list. And the Chiefs are looking good here in the season opener as they're able to extend their lead.
Sometimes you get a 1st and goal and you're back near the 7, 8, 9-yard line and you start thinking, maybe we'll run it here on 1st down to get half of what we need, so maybe we can have 2 or 3 shots at going for it from closer range. So this is a bonus right here. What a great run to work his way into the end zone.
Now after the touchdown, here's Butker on to kick it away. And here comes a return from just beyond the goal line. And ultimately cannot get this out to the 25-yard line as he's dropped at the 23. The Jacksonville offense set to begin their next drive. So now, Charles, this drive maybe a touch more important, trying to erase the memory of that interception they had the last time out.
Yeah, and everyone goes through this because even the best in the game, you're going to have games where it just doesn't go right for you. Interceptions result. So, frankly, to me, it's all about how you respond, not just the types of plays that you call. but how you carry yourself, how you show your team that you're still with
Good
it.
job. Orange got a hell of a game.
It'll go as a loss of about 6, and now it brings up third.
Okay, I'm beautiful, amazing, astonishing.
Looking at a 3rd and long.
It's the confidence for me, the ambiance for
Drop
me.
to throw. Throw right side is going to be caught by Kirk.
I punt the ball.
He'll be stopped at the 27-yard line, well short of the first down marker. And the Jaguars send out their punter as he'll kick it away for the 2nd time. Kamara now return. Oh, he shifts past him. A nice return.
How about choosing up,
14 yards. And they will take over 1st and 10. And the Chiefs now getting set to go. Well, everything right now that they touch on this side of the football, it seems to turn to gold. They've scored on 3 straight possessions. That lead continues to grow. And, I mean, if they can get points here, Charles, might almost be an insurmountable comeback for the other side.
I think you make a great case for
Oh, we're going to run that ball, run that clock down.
Could they make the big comeback? Certainly. Am I expecting it? Not at all. I think if we don't see a drastic change in how they're playing, this blowout's going to get bigger and bigger before the final gun.
They'll start the drive here with Pacheco. It's a pretty strong running there as he'll take this across the 50 and down to the 44. 57 yards rushing for him in his first half as he is looking in mid-season form here in the opener.
Coming in, he really liked his chance of having a big year based on a terrific offseason.
2024 IRS tax forgiveness now has open enrollment. It's easy to qualify. Get up to 99% of tax debt forgiven. Wake that ass up in the morning. Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's
On first down, Mahomes. Buying time to his left.
We got a special guest in the building.
And he'll go out of bounds after taking it a little further down inside the 40. The improv on the scramble there gets him 6, and it'll be 2nd down.
I think the defense surprised him there with that blitz on first down, but give him credit. Stayed cool under pressure and still found a way through the extra rushers for positive yardage.
Yeah, I mean,
well
5
done.
years, God is good. And I never would have expected that the book would have had the impact that it's
run
had.
by Pacheco on
meeting
2nd
you,
down.
being able to talk to you all, the folks who have,
4
come to me and
yards to
said
pick
that
up,
it's changed
first
their
down.
life. That they buy them into their family members and friends. They have book club meetings. It's just, it's been a blessing.
Or the defense coordinator just says, let's sell out, play against the run, and not worry about getting beat by the
I
pass.
read it on vacation, and I remember reading it and saying to myself, where has this book been all of my life?
Now Mahomes
Well,
on the bootleg.
it's been a process. So I earned my PhD more than 20 years ago. And, working on trying to understand specifically for black people, our experiences and trying to integrate that into the larger landscape of mental health that you all know has exploded. Trying to merge what I know as a black woman, and I'm a first-generation college student. My parents didn't go to college. And merging my reality with what I was learning and the research that I was engaged in, and trying to train PhD clinical psychology students, it took time. So it took a little time for me to get here. But I noticed that it's not just about
Certainly not the way they drew it up in the playbook, but that's why they love this guy back there. He sees things breaking down, and he's more than capable of finding an escape route and still getting a decent game.
That you asked that, because as you all know, oftentimes black people get lumped in with minorities. One of the labels that we use in academia is BIPOC, black, and we include folks with indigenous people of color. But we know that black people have a very specific and unique way of just living life, doing things. We've learned mental health from the generations before us, and in ways that weren't always helpful. We learned not to talk about our feelings and emotions. We learned that. And what we learned impacted who we are. At the same time, dealing with crisis, dealing with microaggressions. Folks saying, pull yourself up by the bootstrap to we don't have it. That is a reality for us, and we need to be able to talk about that. And that's part of what makes the book unapologetic, is that I said, we're not talking about everybody.
April and May that you worked on it.
That's not that it isn't
getting ready for this game.
People from
It's all coming together so far.
Gay, straight, black, Asian, people from many different countries have said that the book has helped them, which is fine. Great. Get what you need
He's
from
been
the
a busy
book.
man, 5 for 5 now as he knocks another one through to extend the lead. So this drive spans 7 plays.
When I say,
and in the end, the finishing touch, an 11-yard
and then I talk to them
now
about things that in their language, and I think that's part of what made the book resonate, is talking to folks in ways that make sense to us. And that's one of the reasons it had to be for us, because we
and he's up past the 20 to the
22-yard line. In the book. And so, I ask folks about their worry. I ask folks about problem sleeping. Like in the black community,
Jaguars come to the line to start their next drive.
And so I talk about the day-to-day kinds of things
the last time we saw them out there was a quick 3 and out, and they punted the football.
And then we can start
you never want to get stopped so soundly during a series, but what would be even worse now
is letting it happen again right here. Psychological fortitude in the book, because we say mental health, as you all know, folks start thinking, oh, someone's crazy, they're hearing and seeing things that aren't there. Okay, let's just move on. Let's keep it moving. Let's figure out how I can help people in a different way.
And nowhere to run on the interior of that defensive line. He'll get back only to the line of scrimmage.
Oh, my goodness. I think only
officially
the
nothing
to
on
which
that one. No gain, so they're left with still 10 to go on 3rd down. Right where this set of downs started, they need a full 10 here to pick up the 1st down and move the chains.
Universal.
On 3rd down, Lawrence.
People have difficulties with sadness and low moments. And so what I do in the book is to talk about
maybe by about a yard,
giving those moments, and they, they're transient. Like sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not. If we don't address it, it can escalate. And so I talk about that because we're human.
He's been a
so
busy man here in this first half as he gets it away.
You could add one chapter.
On the return, it's Kamara.
There's something that you missed. You just wanted to add one chapter to discuss. What would that chapter be?
Oh my goodness. What I have thought about, I will say the most, is when I talk about suicide. So I start there.
The offense knew it. They were already starting to walk back.
I didn't necessarily want to start there, but
the special teams penalty cost some yardage there as they come out on 1st and 10.
For more than 20 years, is trying to understand
they'll bring a receiver in motion left.
Mental health crisis.
That is straight. It's Pacheco. And nothing much materializing there on the 1st down run. He'll get a couple, and that's it.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Certainly a nice job there by the defense rallying to the football and getting him on the ground.
But I think the play
gets made by the defensive front.
So that's one thing I would definitely do, is to ease folks into that conversation, maybe at the end of the book, rather than starting there. So just so you're prepared,
and he's going to get this one across the 30-yard line. First catch of the new season for him, and he picks up the first.
Let's just call it what it is. This has been a flat-out struggle for this defense all game long. They've really had a hard time slowing them down. Now, while I'm not big on speeches and guys jumping up and down, they might need their team leader on defense to get in their face right now and light a fire under these guys. They got to start playing better assignment football and start getting guys on the ground.
17 more yards on that one as they keep the drive rolling.
Looked like the defense put pretty good pressure on him, but he's able to flush out to his right to try and evade people. On the run, had to get on his horse. Still accurately throws a nice pass for a 1st down.
This offense in mid-season form here in the opener. It's 1st and 10.
Somebody's going through, almost like I'm going to do it because I'm going to show you. Do you see that a lot?
I don't. What I do see, though, is people who are in crisis and don't have the language
They'll run
to
out of the gun with Pacheco.
Or they don't think people will believe
on the 1st down run.
So
He gets
people are
maybe
struggling.
3.
And there are a lot of folks who are struggling, especially now and increasingly, and they don't have the wherewithal to manage what they're going through.
Yeah, so they get that one, Charles, on the right tackle.
Oftentimes in that spot, you're trying to work against the defender, trying to set the edge in the running game, and you're trying to drive around and get your body twisted so that you can't get there. Sometimes your hands get too involved.
But
the
reality is,
and it'll be 2nd down.
The book, that if we had a more informed society, and so this was my thinking. I wrote the book because the suicide death rates were increasing for black children aged 5 to 11. It was decreasing at the same time for their white counterparts. And so in my mind, because I know when people are in crisis, it's hard to get help. And so they need the folks around them to be able to say, hey, you don't quite seem like yourself, or I know you've been going through some things recently. I just want to check in on a 0 to 10 rating. Where are you?
They made a nice effort to stick him with a loss for that play, but it's going to take more than that to keep him from advancing the ball.
Them so much
Should be
more
an
than
entertaining battle anytime he tucks and runs over the second half of this contest.
The offense on third down tonight, they've been near perfect. 4 for 5 to this point. This will be a tough 3rd and 18. Now Mahomes.
You know, it's funny because I did have a couple ordained ministers
That'll be caught. It's
read that chapter before it went into the book.
They do get 18, but even that won't be quite enough.
And the other one said,
it's 4th down.
Dr. Walker, we're just going to
2 minutes remaining in this first half of football.
Because I needed to be unapologetic in calling out some of the things that we do in the community that are problematic. Like saying, pray about it, you know, when someone is really very depressed.
They're going to fight
and if you say that to them, and then they start to think, well, maybe it's something wrong with me and my relationship with God because I haven't prayed. Like, why would you think I haven't prayed?
And he's able to get the first before he's taken down at the 36.
Ask them to, or
in lieu of the sneak on 4th and inches, they just say, give it to the big man in the backfield.
Yeah, someone
no less. Not many of those left in the NFL,
something
but
that
for those that have one, perfect time to use them, perfect time to get it done.
So this drive going to continue following the conversion on 4th. Here's 1st and 10.
In 2025.
And that is going to be incomplete as he let him a bit too much.
And their backs up against the wall a little bit, and they come through by forcing an incompletion. Now they got to continue to ratchet up the intensity a couple more times and get off the field before giving up any more yardage.
Escaping the pressure right. A short one there to Fryermuth. And he's going to get this down near the 20-yard line.
Has some spiritual mindedness
speed things up here, going with some tempo.
Integrate your faith in with the therapy. And that's something that I train PhD psychology students to be able to do. You know, you got to first ask someone, because not everyone is a believer.
On 1st and 10, here's Mahomes.
You know, are you a person of faith? What does that mean to be a person of faith? Let's work together in order to be able to help you using one of your resources. Because yes, having faith is a resource. Having faith has gotten black folks through.
And again, it's Mahomes.
Nothing else. And I talk about that in my racial elephants in the therapy room.
And the Chiefs are going to have a 1st and goal as he'll be taken down at the 7-yard line.
I think the Bonnets did a fantastic job of combining the two. You know, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Sarah James Roberts, Torrey, like they always talk about God, but then also you got to bring in the mental health professionals when there's actual mental health crisis going on.
Yes, because a lot of folks don't understand, you know, the psychological and the psychiatric part of it. They, you know, we can't expect for pastors and ministers to do that. That's not their training. For some of them it is, but for most of them.
They'll run here with
Pacheco.
Pacheco.
The language earlier, and that's a conversation
and he's able to get it down to the 2-yard line.
Everybody has learned
from the 2 now, 2nd and goal.
Depression, anxiety. Do you think that people are self-diagnosing too much, or is that just how awareness starts?
I think it's good for awareness because some of the feedback that I've gotten about the book is folks saying they didn't know what was going on with them, and so they appreciate having language to be able to communicate what's going on for them. So that's definitely a good thing. But I do think that there is a lot of self-diagnosis and it ends there. So your diagnosis is I have higher than what is helpful level of anxiety. Go see a professional. If it is my depression keeps me from being able to cook meals for my family, I don't know what to do. Go see a professional who can help diagnose and give a roadmap for what needs to happen next. But yeah, the TikTok therapy is kind of concerning.
And the route is on here in this first half. So that drive spans 13 plays, and it's capped off with a Kansas City touchdown.
But that's my only fear. I wanted to ask, we had almost there on that was like, isn't that a thing? Because like when we were young, we knew we were feeling something. We just didn't know what it was. We didn't even have the language to say, I'm depressed. You could be sad.
4 seconds, all that remain here this first half as the kick gets away.
Accept any payment, debit, credit, Apple Pay, or digital wallets.
Powering through with the 35.
No extra hardware, no hassle. Like it's
So we have reached halftime. All right, we will save the Week 1 highlights and apparently get right back to the action here in the third. We'll see if Week 1 fatigue becomes any kind of a factor as we are back underway in the second half.
Depressed. I mean, there's certainly levels to depression, and that's why
it takes this near the 25, just a little patch there, call it
to
the
be able to
26.
disentangle what might be happening. So yeah, if you fail the test, I want you to be sad.
To begin quarter number 3.
Mahomes
will lead the Chiefs on 1st and 10 at their own 26.
Exactly. And that's why
they'll come out throwing here to start the drive. A short one there to Fryermuth. And they're able to get this one across the 35. Give him 10 yards there, and about by the nose of the football, he's going to have a first down.
We can talk to young people. We can just ask, what does that mean for you? What does that look like for you? Because even as a professional, if I'm seeing someone or a client for the first time, I'm asking them. They come in.
Maybe a yard to the 37.
They come in and they're saying, I'm depressed. And I still need to know what does your depression look like. Because your depression might be, not wanting to eat, maybe you feel really very sad, you don't want to be around people. But your depression might be like, you're doing too much. Because you're trying to compensate.
That was the same case on that play.
Your depression might look like you're overeating. And everyone is experiencing depression. And so we have to be able to ask, not just for our clients, but for everyday people, what does that look like for you? Because it also gives us a point of intervention. So if you're feeling more like you need to be isolated for a long time, then okay, maybe I'll let you go to yourself for a little while, and then I'll check in and say, how are you doing today? We don't even have to talk about the situation that you're going through. I just want you to know I'm here for you. People need to know that someone is going to be there for them, and that they're not going to judge them.
I think
whatever.
Ball caught. It's right.
You just tell me don't sell
He'll go down, but not before getting this inside the 30. That'll be marked as a 27-yard pickup.
I want to tell you what, a lot of those mid-range throws have been available because sometimes teams get too concerned about the deep ball. They leave too much space in front of them. And these guys have been taking advantage so far.
He's saying basically that he feels like he needs therapy, but he doesn't necessarily want to go because he doesn't see himself talking to them people.
You don't trust them.
He doesn't trust them.
So in Jacksonville territory now, here's a 1st and 10 at the 26-yard line.
You can't have folks, you can't have your business in the street. Like, that's something that is unacceptable in our
right
community.
side for Pacheco.
And so, for that person,
going to lose yards.
and I
take him down at the 26.
Who are struggling.
Officially, it's a 1-yard loss. That's going to bring up 2nd and 11.
I have zero rooting interest in either team in this game. I only want a good game.
That's
but
one
with
part.
all the offense we've seen from them tonight,
there's so many folks, and that's why we have to be non-judgmental, because if we say, like, this is what I see, just want you to know concern, and then back off, then they know who they can go and talk to. Like, this person expressed concern. They seem concerned about me. I will go to them. But yes,
we talk a lot about setting the tone to start the game. Well, you want to start the tone right in the third quarter as well, and nearly lost a football there in their first drive.
And sometimes we overdo it when we talk about halftime adjustments and what teams are going to do. Most of the time, it's just a matter of executing the game plan you brought in. But I guarantee you, they didn't draw that play up on the whiteboard at halftime. They're fortunate to retain possession.
And then the other part is, something I think that is, they're going to make me someone that I'm not. And I need to maintain myself. Like, I don't know a professional who has the power to be able to magically make someone different.
Receiving for it now in the opener, and it's a first down.
To take on their responsibilities and do the best that they can, not to make a difference.
Didn't hear, and that was the quarterback in time to find a receiver.
So
and it
if I
sets up a
see
first and goal.
a murder, if I murder somebody, if I see domestic violence, if I see somebody getting hurt, it always brings me back to the Mendez brothers, right? Where they were talking to the therapist, and the therapist
here's
used some of
Mahomes
their
to
stuff in the
throw.
court case. So when you see stuff
He's
like
going to
that,
be
and something
taken
is
down,
going
sacked
on,
back
I'm
around the
I ain't gonna
18-yard
tell nobody,
line.
because what if they use
It'll
it later?
go as
But then I
nearly
might
a
have to tell
loss of
somebody
10 on first and goal, so a disaster there. It goes as a 9-yard loss on the sack. First down, a bit of a disaster, and now on 2nd and goal, back even further.
I'm sure there's people that have seen crimes, have crimes, and they're going through things like, I just use Rob Fortnite again. He said that he's seen so many things in his past.
And he'll get him inside the 15 down to the 14-yard line. It'll be a gain of 4, but it'll bring us down to a 3rd and goal.
Typically, we think it's the strong safeties that are better
can say they've seen something without giving, facts
but in this case, how about the free safety
and not expect for the
coming
police
up
to come
and making
in
the
and
big
hold them
time
off.
play?
But what I will say is, so we talk in the first session about confidentiality. Like, confidentiality is part of the bedrock of what we do as a licensed professional. Like, you can't just go out and yap about what people have been sharing and they disclose in therapy.
It'll be a gain of 6,
the other thing that we emphasize is if someone says they could be a harm to themselves or danger to themselves or to someone else,
from the left hash.
then that
should be a
information
fairly
might have to
easy
be
one
disclosed
here.
in order to be able to protect that person's life or to protect the life of someone else. If they are, if there's a danger or abuse of children, elderly, people who have disabilities or different abilities, then that would probably be disclosed. And to be honest, it varies by state, but that's kind of a minimum threshold to be aware of, because at the end of the day, the client has to be able to talk to their therapist because they're not going to be able to get the healing and the help that they need.
Yeah, and you just
if
want
they
to keep
can't get some
building on
stuff
that
off of their
lead, don't
chest.
you?
But
Whether
then
6
once they
points
do
or 3
that,
points,
then there has to be
take
some
everything you
understanding
can
about
get,
what's going to happen
keep maneuvering, keep adding to it, keep making it difficult for them to come back.
After the field goal, here's Butker to kick it away.
This nigga's so funny, dog.
So there have been a couple of occasions, and so what I have done for the most part is supervise PhD students in training. And there have been occasions, as an example, where the client was racist, or the client was doing harm to animals, and the therapist really difficult time because of that would be hard for hopefully anyone. And supervisors do approach this work differently, I will say that. And that's one of the reasons we may get different stories and different narratives from different professionals, because folks approach some of the work differently. But for me, you can't have a client who's disrespecting you, or who is making you feel nauseous or uncomfortable on the inside and do your work. Like, that's, you can't do that. And so we're human first. Like, therapists, professionals, we are human first. But we still also have a responsibility
and if you like defensive football,
to be able to provide
focus on the defensive end on this play. He does everything exactly right. Reads the play and make sure he spills it for a small gain.
50 simple truths to help overthinkers feel less stressed and more calm. And I want to read
Lawrence hit the ball is free. Oh, and one of the linemen on the other side has got it.
Life is the obstacles, and we have to unlearn the idea that we need
a lot of bad news on that play for them, wasn't there? Lost the football, lost a lot of yardage, but I think the good news outweighs it. Able to retain possession. That was big for them.
Their stressors and triggers.
Now Lawrence on 3rd and long.
Techniques.
And a quick throw here that's complete.
We had a discussion here on
and he went nowhere. He'll lose yardage back to the 29. This will wind up a loss on the play. And that's going to bring up a 4th down. And the Jaguars send out their punter as he'll come on to kick this one away.
Well, I think you know how I feel about the word should. So I avoid it at all costs. And so if there's something in you that says, in this moment,
score that a
I need to avoid this thing,
punt,
I'm
and
going
it will
to
be
honor
1st and 10 as they
but
take
I'm also
over.
going to ask you questions
back to the
about
Chiefs
what
and
is happening for you. What are you telling yourself? So
I'm
a cognitive behavioral therapist. And so for me, thoughts connect with behaviors.
And when you're able to move it as effectively as you've
described, so it all starts with, yes,
something happened,
finding a way into the end zone, and now you're trying to do it for a second time. So is your thought in that moment, I can't deal with this, this is going to hurt me, this is going to harm me, I can't survive this, because it happens, it plays out automatically before folks recognize. And so we have to slow down the process. Okay, tell me the facts, tell me what happened.
Surprise in your face there, partner. That is a rare incompletion from him.
He's been on most people don't have a sense of what was the next thought. And as a therapist, I have to slow things way down to understand.
Now is 2nd and 10.
However, in order for you to feel like I can deal with this, whatever the situation is, or I need to be able to deal with this in order to be successful in life, then we got to figure out how to be able to do that. Because yes, I think what I heard him saying was, people need to be able to adapt to novel situations and circumstances in order to
the offensive center itself right now. They were all easy because he was wide open.
But I would pause. I'd hit the pause button. Something happens, person wants to avoid, and I'm like, okay, tell me what just happened. Because again, I'm asking questions. I want to know what's going on for you. Because I don't see anything
gets him all the way down to the outskirts of the red zone here for 1st and 10.
Right, and I explained to you. If I don't like
a handoff now for Pacheco. This will be a 5-yard pickup as they move it from the 20 to the 15.
And that's exactly what you want on a 1st down run. Pick up 5 yards, bring up 2nd and 5. The defensive line, though, they've got to figure out a way to out-leverage the guys up front because the offensive line is winning at the point of attack.
I don't have to sit in it. I don't have to adapt. I don't care if you like me or not. But that's how we should be. I think a lot of times we try to adapt to things.
Pacheco gets it again on 2nd down.
I think a lot of times it hurts pulling out.
A 3-yard pickup on 2nd and 4. Now they'll need to convert here on 3rd and a little more than a yard.
maybe the middle ground, because you never know. You never know. If someone says something to you or they bring you a certain kind of energy, and maybe you do have some relationship with the person that you're willing to consider and preserve, why not say to them, you know,
they'll try for
X,
the
Y, and
first
Z.
with Pacheco.
You do that thing right there. You do
And
this.
he'll be brought down
This is
here
how
at the
I
3-yard
feel
line.
when that happens. Maybe they
108
didn't
yards
know.
rushing for
You know,
him
maybe
now
they
as he
thought they were
goes
doing a
over the
good thing.
century
And I
mark
think
here in
that
the season
allows us
opener.
to be more
Well,
in
that last
community.
run makes
Because
this a 100-yard night. I love the way he's hit the hole.
I
He's
get
been
what you're saying.
quick, he's been decisive, and he's been a whole lot of fun to watch.
Short thickums, I used to do that too. Like, you try to adapt to people. You do things that sometimes you don't want to do because you feel like it's the right thing to do, right? It's short thickums over there.
Mahomes now to throw.
I'm not going to do it.
Oh, he was hit as he threw it there, and that one winds up incomplete. Down this close to the goal line, first down.
I didn't understand it for a while, right?
I am, and you know I'm old school. I want to run the ball on first down in this situation because second down, that gives me an option of running play action, maybe throwing it.
If this is going to F up my piece, if this is not going to make me happy,
they'll go again from the 3 here on second and goal.
And I agree with short thickums.
That's a little pet nickname for me. See how men can't even just say my name. He can't even say my name. You got to give me a little cute nickname.
Gonna be hit and met at the line of scrimmage. They get him down at the 3. No gain on the play there. They're going to need to come up with something better here on third and goal. Henry again. Not a whole lot there as they'll get him down at about the 2.
Right.
Joe, what the fuck you just said? That's the funny
The decision is to decline it and not give him the down back.
They might as well have sent a skywriter above the stadium saying, we don't think you get the first down against our defense by that decision.
I had problems sleeping, and I noticed you said at the beginning of the interview, right, but my thing is,
can this
I can't
hold him
turn
out?
my mind off.
Here we go
That's
now. Fourth and goal
the main
from the
thing.
2.
I don't know how to turn my brain off. I'm thinking about things I could be doing rather than getting sleep. I'm thinking about, damn, I forgot to do this today.
It's
not enough hours in a day. You know what I mean? Like, I have like a schedule in mind. I never get it done. I feel guilty when I'm just sitting.
2-yard touchdown grab.
Right? But
and the Chiefs' decision to go
like
for
that,
it pays
right?
off with 6 points. CD, simply put, if anyone around the league wasn't paying attention to them to start the season, they will be heading into week 2. This has been an impressive week 1 performance.
They certainly announced that they are ready to go. They wanted to send a message out to the rest of the league. You better put your eyes on us. We may be someone you have to reckon with.
And then, like, even when I'm scrolling,
extra point by Butker is on target, and the lead grows even larger here in the third quarter.
About Donald Trump, it'll be something about the games, they everywhere. And then I scroll up.
What?
So then it'll be a video. Say it'll be coffee. Then it'll be another one about church. Then it'll be nothing about something else about Donald Trump. It'll be something about the gays. They everywhere. And then I scroll up again. It'll be something else. And then it's like, but I'm not getting a chance to process each and every video, right? So it's so much information that I'm downloading. It's like, I'm not a robot. I'm supposed to be okay with silence for a while. Then I got a 9-month-old. Then I'm a wife. And then it's so much. So when I'm laying down, I cannot silence my mind, my thoughts, to go to sleep. Ever. You can't ever silence. Most of the time. Not ever. Because weed will help me do that. Just being honest with you. Like, I will hit a blunt, and I will laugh, and then I'll be out for a minute. But that's really the only thing that helps me get good rest.
This is an outline. You don't get many blowouts like this no matter how the game looks on paper going in. This one has turned out to be everyone.
So, and I've heard you talk about your schedule, and, getting up, and I think you said like 4 in the morning, but then you go to bed late at night. And so, so there's so many different layers to this, because yes, you are doing a lot. But one of the things that I heard you say just now was, even when you're kind of sitting, you feel like you're supposed to be doing something. And so you're also telling yourself, I'm supposed to be doing something other than resting. So that's one thing for you to be mindful of. But then, I think it's, especially in this day and age, it's easy to wake up or not to fall asleep because your mind is racing. I was telling my husband that this morning I woke up at 3 o'clock and I started to think about this conversation, and then I was thinking, okay, I can say this, and I was like, okay, stop. And I know better, right? I have the tools and the resources, and I was like, quit it. And then that didn't work. And I said, okay, we're going to do 10 more minutes. And then that didn't work. And I was like, okay, we have to start doing our progressive muscle relaxation in order to be able to calm down. So there are strategies. Progressive muscle relaxation. So for me, it's when I close my eyes and I'm breathing deeply, and I tell myself that with each exhalation to release the tension, and I start with my forehead and eyebrows, because I'm literally sometimes like this in bed. Who's in bed? Like, yeah. And so I have to tell myself to release. And I go every body part, ears, nose, and then I allow my body to be able to relax into the moment, because I'm literally not just thinking, but I'm feeling it in my body, and I have to be able to relax that. The other thing that I recommend, and I put this in the workbook, so I did the unapologetic guide and I have the unapologetic workbook, is giving folks permission to, before you go to bed, like some people need to keep a notepad and a pen, not the phone, but a notepad and a pen by the bed, so that when all of these thoughts come to mind, you write them down. You write them down before you get into bed. Like everything that comes to mind, okay, write it down, and then, okay, try that. If that, you wake up, okay, write some more down. I didn't have a notepad last night. Okay, just lug this out. But be able to write down all the things that come to your mind to release it, because otherwise you're going to ruminate about it. And that rumination will absolutely keep you up for hours. Yeah.
I learned a lot of those techniques from you, and it's funny because my 3-year-old looked at me and said, "Daddy, why you doing like this?" And I don't even realize I'm doing it. And then when she tells me that, that's when I do those. I try to do that technique to just relax. But another thing I want you to talk to Jess about, when you go to your website, it says reclaim your mind. What does that statement mean to you?
We are a very, very powerful people. And this is what I'm hoping that we eventually get to. Maybe not in the next 5 years or even 10 years, but for the next generation. That we get back to knowing who we are as Black people, as people of African descent. There's so much negativity associated with folks. Like, I don't want to be African. Some folks now say, I just want to be American. But the brilliance, the collective brilliance in our community is there, but it is weighed down by anxiety and depression. And for those who don't know, we talk a lot about anxiety and depression because those are the two most commonly diagnosed challenges. Well, we are way down with that, and sometimes it comes from racism, microaggressions out of nowhere. You're at your job just trying to mind your business, working on a project, and somebody says, "Oh, how'd you get that job?" And you're like, "What do you mean by that?" And you're ruminating about that. Like, we just get weighed down by so much stuff that when we can get back to a place when we recognize that we are a brilliant people, that when we can come together, maybe sometimes kneel together if need be, when we can come together, then we can reclaim who we are, and we can use our immense talents and gifts that we have, that we can use them, and then we will live collectively much more fulfilling lives. Like, we weren't meant to exist as individuals. Like, that's a Eurocentric way of seeing the world. We are African people. We don't have brother and, we don't have cousin and distant cousin and in-laws. We have brother and sister. Like, we are family. And so we need to get back to that in order to kind of resist the stuff that's happening out there.
I got a couple more questions, because you talked about psychological fortitude earlier, which is a concept you introduced in the book. And to clear up confusion around mental health, you talk about psychological fortitude. Can you break down what that is, just for people, and why that's a game changer?
Absolutely, because, just think on a day-to-day basis, you ask somebody how they're doing, and they say, I'm good. They may or may not mean it. But that's the answer that they give, because oftentimes, we think people don't want to know. Maybe we don't know how well we're doing. But psychological fortitude is the 0 to 10 rating of a few different things. It's basically your capacity to function. So take care of your work responsibilities and or school responsibilities, because this can apply to children and teens also. To be able to take care of your family. Maybe you got the in-laws at the house, you got other cousins, you got folks at the house. To be able to take care of your physical health. Health is a serious concern in our community for a number of different reasons. We got to be able to exercise and eat right and do all things while not sleeping. You want to make a shit sometimes when you can't sleep, you're stressed out. I love dessert. And then we also need to be able to withstand the threats, like the things that are coming after us, while we're still trying to tap into our gifts and talents. In some communities, not using your gifts and talents is a sin. But for us, it's kind of like, you're just going through the motions and hoping for the best. So if I say, I say envy, 0 to 10, you don't have to tell us, but you could if you like. On a 0 to 10, 0 means you have nothing in the tank, and 10 is you cooking. Where would you say you are on your capacity to be able to do all those things?
Right now, thanks to Restore, prime time is back. You want to be bold, if you're daydreaming about having more hair, this is it.
You're at a 9. And so you're in a great place. And so I might say, okay, envy's good, we're going to keep it moving. But if he said like 4 or lower, then that says to me, as someone in his community, that I need to just check in and say, hey, you're at a 4.
But that's today. Tomorrow it could be a 2.
Tomorrow it could be a 2. Right. And if you stayed at a 2 for weeks, then we know it's a problem. But we have our 2 moments because we're human. And then also, for myself, if I ask myself my own rating, and if it's too low, then I know that I probably need to be working on a boundary. Like, I definitely don't need to be taking on anything else. I don't care who it is. I don't care what they ask. I cannot take on a single thing. If I'm at a 6, for me personally, if I'm at a 6 or lower, I'm not doing anything else. I appreciate you. I can't today. Check in with me in 3 to 4 or 5 months. Or I need to add some sources of joy. Maybe reach out to someone that I haven't talked to in a while who makes me smile, who I know isn't going to judge me. And I do have, friends and folks who reach out to me and just say like, hey, what's your PF? So PF for psychological fortitude. What's your PF right now? And depending on where I am, I don't think about it for too long because, we think we want to get the right answer. I don't know what they're going to say. Like, just give a number. Like, a number is so much more neutral than saying I'm good when I'm not, or risking saying, maybe someone else isn't ready for what all I might be going through. If I give a number, that tells you a lot.
Absolutely. My last question is, I love Not Apologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. I swear by it. I think it's more than a book. It's a call to action. So what would progress look like in another 5 years from now if everybody really embraced the call to action that's in this book?
Wow, I love that question. So in another 5 years, we would have stronger communities where we're able to ask someone, what's your PF right now? And if they say something that is a 4 or 5, then you say, hey, do you have time right now? Let's check in, let's sit down. Or if they say something like a 2 or 3, then someone in the community says, let me help you find a professional who can work with you. That it helps to build our communities. And that we have folks who are suffering less. Because there are a lot of people who are suffering needlessly because they don't know whether or not this is mental health related or am I going crazy. Like, we have legitimate language and understanding about what our psychological fortitude is. And I introduced that in part because, and I think I mentioned this, because when we hear mental health, we think something else. We need to get beyond that. Like, we really need to get beyond this person is crazy, this person is having a nervous breakdown. Like, that doesn't matter. We need to be able to function. But there are people who, for sure, have serious challenges and are hearing things that aren't there, and they do need to be able to connect with someone who's going to get them some medication. But I want us to normalize these conversations, get folks the help that they need, so that everyone can contribute to a better functioning society.
Well, Dr. Rita Walker, we appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you.
If you haven't got the book, pick up the book now. It's the 50th anniversary of the release of the Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health.
And the workbook that goes with it, the Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health. I tell everybody, it is a must-read. It's one of them books that you have to have in your household. This is the book that we all needed, growing up. Like, our parents didn't know how to talk to us about it, or adults around us didn't know how to talk to us about mental health. This book right here lays it down quite flat.
Yeah. Can I just add just 2 brief things? One, thank you so much to you because, there have been a lot of people who said they got the book because of you, didn't know anything about it. So I am beyond grateful to you, Leonard, for getting the word out about the book. And also, folks can follow me. I'm most active on Instagram, drritawalker.com. Maybe I can get 500 more followers to get me to 20,000 for my birthday. It's my birthday in Saturday.
Saturday. That's right.
Go follow Dr. Rita Walker.
All right.
Do you turn up, Dr. Walker? You turn up?
What does he always tell us?
It's Dr. Rita Walker. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Take that ass up. In the morning. Breakfast Club.
as they bury him behind the line. 2 yards the loss, 2nd and 12.
But dude, Army, great job. Professor saying, oh, wow, that's weird. That looks like an SIR border where reverse hollow should go.
But flip it over to the offensive side. They've been dominating this thing, and to finally have a play go against them, that's not something that's going to make them feel very good this evening.
And now the first throw for the backup quarterback. And seeing nowhere to throw, he chucks this one away from harm. Incomplete. Now it's 3rd down. Well, at this juncture, CD, you normally see teams pack in the passing game. They've got the huge lead. Not them, though. They're still taking their shots.
I remember reading in past history, there was a college football coach in the Hall of Fame whose nickname was Close the Gates of Mercy. But he wasn't really big on that. He was big on going ahead and scoring. He's kind of reincarnated right here. We're watching it in front of us.
Open man right side is St. Brown. And he will have a Chiefs first down as they're able to get the 3rd down conversion. He's been the go-to guy. They needed a big play there on 3rd down. Went his way. It worked out.
Doesn't matter whether they've scouted it or that they think he's going to get the ball. He has a knack for finding his way open and completing the connection.
Altogether, a pretty shaky start to the year for this defense as they defend another 1st and 10. Mixing up the middle. And he gets stopped up at the 31 after a gain of maybe a yard.
Oh, there's plenty of traffic waiting for him up the middle. But give him credit, he tried barreling through anyway. They're fortunate to get a yard out of that one.
2nd and 9 now. And that'll be incomplete. Took a pretty good shot as he tried to pull that one in. Couldn't hang on. 3rd down.
That sure looked like a nice call by the defense, and they were very cohesive in their coverage. As soon as he cut inside, they broke on the football and met him as the ball got there and forced the incompletion.
And he'll be hit as he releases it, and that'll fall incomplete.
Sometimes the game is pretty simple. Put a few extra defensive backs on the field, give them nowhere to throw the football, force the incompletion, and get off the field on 3rd down.
Butker's kick here is good. And that will extend their lead even further. Well, ultimately not really sure that they're going to need those 3 points, but they'll take the 3 and they pad
These
that
people
lead.
are coming over here, squatting in our homes and getting prepaid cards. So why is nobody talking about this $5,800 spending card that we Americans are...
Maybe you've actually clicked him off in your headset so you can keep calling plays and trying to add to this lead.
And here comes a return from just beyond the goal line. And he'll wind up getting a couple extra yards here for his trouble and bringing it out of the end zone as he's down at the 27. Out comes the Jacksonville offense as they get set to take over here. And no doubt this is not the way that they had hoped to open their... season. Thoroughly outplayed here in front of the national audience. They go back to the air here after the INT on the last drive. Looking for the out route here, and it's completed to Kirk. And just 3 yards on the catch there. He couldn't get away. And it's 2nd down. Here's Lawrence to throw. For Kidder here, it's complete. And he'll get it out near the 40 to the 39. That one, a first down pickup of 8. From the shotgun, Lawrence. Firing quickly here, and that's complete. And this play will be blown up. He'll lose yardage back at the 38. 38-yard line, 2nd and 11. Again, it's Lawrence. And he's taken down. A Chiefs sack. Loss of 10 as multiple defenders get to it.
You can almost see all the defenders rubbing their hands together with glee because we all know they relish the chance to bring down a quarterback of his caliber. Anyone who brings him down has plenty to talk about. Not just a sack, but a big win built off the efforts of this defense.
No gain on the play there, and it'll bring up 4th down. And the Jaguars send out their punter as he's on to punt for the 4th time tonight. It's taken to the 26. Shelling through the defense. 43 yards on the punt. Return of 4. And out will come the offense as they take over. Here's the Kansas City offense now as they get set to take over. It has been quite a display here in the opening game of the new season. And really, they're putting the rest of the NFL on notice. They are going to be title contenders as now they look to finish things off in the 4th quarter. And not a whole lot of room to operate there on the 1st down run. He gets maybe 3.
That's it. That's what you want. Straight ahead positive gain. Just keep that clock ticking.
Here's 2nd and 7. Once again, they run with Mixon. 68 yards rushing for him now as he's carried it 16 times. Hate to be blunt, but it is just continuing to prove to be the case that this O-line is manhandling this D-line right now.
They deserve to roll up their sleeves and show up their biceps because they're doing exactly what you just described, manhandling the defensive front. They've got the leverage, they're powering through, and they're controlling this game.
So after the run for no gain, here's 2nd and 10. Now they'll switch it up here and look to throw. Oh, the ball comes out on the hit, but they'll say it's incomplete.
Partner, what we're seeing so far is the defense is certainly coordinated. Both levels doing their jobs in tandem. The back helping the front helping the back. The pressure got home on that last play and forced him to try and throw through contact and short of the sticks.
They come up to the line now facing a 3rd and 10 after the incompletion. He'll look to throw. Able to get away. And a dangerous throw there as that's knocked down and incomplete. Here's the Chiefs punter now as he'll punt it away for the 2nd time. It'll be a net of 40 yards there following a 43-yard punt, 3-yard return. The Jaguars getting set to go. Where we stand right now in the 4th quarter, this one pretty much out of reach. And, Charles, I know they're going to be disappointed about several things with this ball game, but the self-inflicted wounds, they've had several turnovers. You would have to think that's going to be something they're going to discuss heavily in the film session in the coming days.
You're absolutely right about that, partner, because they're going to have to sit in that film room and watch every error that they made and figure out how to not do it in the future. And mentally, I think a lot of the guys are already starting to think about, okay, how do we put this behind us and get better for the next time out? This, they'll use as motivation for the rest of the time that they play to hopefully never be in this type of situation again.
19 yards there on the catch and run. Well, a touchdown here on this drive, it wouldn't really put much of a dent in the score, the deficit right now, but as you mentioned in the past, CD, their coach is probably just hoping to see something executed correctly on this drive before we close out the ball game.
Yeah, and I think that every guy who's on the field has to feel exactly the same way, because if not, they might be looking for replacements. Treat every drive as if it's your last and make it a successful one in some small way.
So it's Jaguar football here as we welcome you back. A good position to be in here, 2nd and inches. And they'll go again with Etienne. And this time he's able to take it down to the 42. 6 yards the pickup, and that's a 1st down. Now a shotgun snap as they'll look to throw. That's caught on the left side by Kirk. And he'll go out of bounds after taking it a little further down inside the 40. Here's 2nd and 5 now from the 37. Lawrence will throw. Looking left side, he's got it, complete. Now you've got to hustle your guys to the line and get them set. Throwing now, Lawrence on first down. He's got a man. It's his tight end. That's complete. They're going to hurry back to the line now. The Chiefs will use the first of their timeouts. That'll leave them with 2 remaining. We'll be back after this. So from the 17 now, here's a 1st and 10. It's a throw again is Lawrence. And for the 4th time tonight, it's an interception. Trent McDuffie with a pick. And the Chiefs are going to have it here at their own 32-yard line. Well, partner, I got to tell you, I'm trying to think of something positive to say for this offense, but I'd have to be a spin doctor for that one. This has been a tough performance to watch.
And I think it's hard at this point to actually identify what's really gone wrong. I guess the catch-all is everything. Doesn't sound like real sharp analysis, but I don't have much else for you.
And the scoreboard just lopsided, and it's been ugly from the get-go. So the contact came before the ball got there, and the flag is thrown.
Timing is everything, isn't it? And it's so hard to cover these great receivers. They have such great body control, and they can fake you out. In this case, as you described, got there before the ball got to the receiver. Penalty flag had to come out.
So the yellow flag came out, and that leads to a new set of downs for this offense. 1st and 10. That's complete to his running back, Kamara. And he is tackled inside the 40, not quite to the 35. Now another timeout called for by the offense. That'll leave them with just 1 remaining in this 4th quarter of play. Line of scrimmage, the 37 on 1st and 10. That one looks like he'll throw here. And this is caught. And they are going to score again. Yet another touchdown as they just add to their totals. I think all teams probably like seeing that schedule for the first time, looking at week 1. Oh, good, we're at home. This is why you want to be home in week 1. They're looking sharp.
And I agree with you totally. That's what you want. But there carries a little extra pressure with that as well, because you and I both know protecting the home field, winning your home games is paramount in this league. So you go into it, yeah, we want it, but now you actually have to go out and prove it.
Yeah, 2 sides to that coin, and looking like they're going to protect it here in this one. So the Chiefs opt to keep the offense out there, and they'll line up to go for 2. They'll try and throw for it. And this one incomplete. So they went for the 2. They don't get it.
I know we could sit up here and dance around it a little bit, but going for 2 in this situation, somebody doesn't like someone else. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, what they couldn't see is you lean back in your chair and you went, yeah, that's not a good decision. They didn't get it, though.
Yeah, I don't think you just say, well, my kicker's hurt in this spot. No, okay.
And out now comes Jacksonville as they get ready to go. Well, we said it at halftime that they would need a nearly perfect second half to erase that deficit that they were facing, CD. But unfortunately, the second half has pretty much been a carbon copy of the first.
Yeah, that early lead was almost insurmountable the way their opponent was playing. And, partner, they do have some good news, though. This one is getting close to being over, and they can try and hit the reset button starting tomorrow.
On first down, Lawrence. That's going to be caught by Kirk. And he'll be out of bounds up near the 45 at the 44. Second down and 6 now. Looking to throw. Lawrence. Now a desperation throw deep downfield. And that will be incomplete. as time has run out on this football game. Well, partner, the season officially underway. It was great to be back with you, obviously, but the first game of the year always a special one. And love, I know you do too, love having it on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I think it makes it special, right? It makes it so that everyone is just watching, all eyes on it on a special night like that. I think it's going to be a great season, partner. Can't wait for the next several months. We know there are going to be surprises all the way through the season. And before we know it, we'll be talking about opening up on a Thursday night again next season.
So for the Chiefs, they begin the new campaign with a victory here in front of the home crowd in the Thursday opener. And they'll get a few extra days to get ready for next week. Meanwhile, for Jacksonville, they obviously fall to 0-1 with the defeat. And they'll try and turn things around next week as they have a date at Soldier Field with the Chicago Bears. So that'll do it for us. For my partner, Charles Davis, and all the hard-working men and women on our crew, I'm Brandon Gaudin. You've been watching the NFL right here on EA Sports. The Chiefs victorious here as we say so long from Arrowhead.